So, here we are at the final video that I have to record for, well, for the first season of Wolf's Den. The funny thing about this, though, is that the reason why you're seeing this now, aka right after FF13, is because FF13 is, well, let's just say I didn't want to end on Borderlands 2. Because Borderlands 2 is not a game that I like from a gameplay perspective. It's kind of garbage, in my opinion. I give this game a net negative 11 to gameplay, even though I gave it a plus 32. Yes, plus 32 to story. Now, if that's enough for you to click off the video, I understand, and I get it. But, man, oh man. Borderlands 2. So this was the big one. This was the one that I always remembered from the Borderlands games as the one that I actually enjoyed. Yeah. About that. This is a game I have no intention to ever replay. In fact, most of the Borderlands games in general are games I never intend to replay. At absolute most, you'll get me playing Borderlands 3 with the boys. Boys in the in 2023, and I hope this video is going live in April, and God, I hope we're done with Borderlands 3 by then. Holy crap! Like, if I have to convince Steve to start his streams like a couple of hours early on the Sundays and days just so we can get farther through it, I will, because good lord, you know. Um, still, there's two things we got to talk about right off the bat. Co-op and looter shooters. Let's start with the co-op. I don't remember if I said this back in Halo, but but Halo was one where I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in Halo Reach. In Halo Reach, I mentioned the fact that from me, co-op is not an automatic plus. It's not something that, it's there, therefore it's a plus, because of course. It's more like it has to earn its keep of being a plus. Because, well, let me put it this way. You get good co-op, and it is exquisite, like the Halos. You get bad co-op, and, well, you get Borderlands 1, and for the most part. Hell, I would even argue Borderlands, all of the Borderlands games suffer from this, right? Because Halo Reach you could play on your own, and it's relatively well designed. Borderlands on the other hand is you're either playing it melee or you're slogging through the game, especially those goddamn DLCs. And I'm going to turn my monitor off because as I keep getting distracted by it. There we go. But yeah, no, it's you're either playing this game co-op or you're slogging through it, and it's embarrassing. Embarrassing, right? Never mind the fact that I literally off-screened most of this stuff, so there is no like video evidence of me going through it. But that's very much. But the reason why I decided against streaming the DLCs is because all you'd be seeing is me getting more and more and more frustrated. I actually had to apologize to Matt because I snapped at him while dealing with the Hammerlock DLC. And all he said to me was, "Do you want some help?" Yeah, not a fan of the Hammerlock DLC. I have like almost nothing to say about it. How did? In fact, literally the only note I have for Sir Hammerlock's Big Game Hunt is that I hate that DLC. Literally, that's my only note about it. Yeah, I don't have a lot of notes in general. Right? So, and then there's the looter shooters, which I will admit I like the variety of the guns in this game, but I'm not usually one for looter shooters. For some reason, Diablo with guns is hmm, how do I put this? I've always described Borderlands as Diablo with guns because Diablo is usually about the loot, going through the dungeons. Whoops, sorry, going through the dungeons and just and looting as much as you can. Get improving your guns and whatnot. The problem is that the way you get more powerful in this game is all dependent on RNG. Can you find the right guns? Can you find the right shields? Can you make the right build? And it can be miserable, especially if you don't know what you're doing. Excuse me. There is a respec option, but it was just there, right? And it's just kind of eh. Uh, I mean, there was a lot of terrain issues where I would clip through the terrain, so that's crap. Um, there's also timed quests, which can just go to hell. So let's talk about the other reason why co-op is why I hate doing co-op with Borderlands. The Borderlands netcode is garbage. Like absolute garbage. We ran into a problem where me and Matt were getting consistently booted from Steve's game. And I mean consistently being booted, like just ejected from Steve's game because screw us. And to be blunt, that's not cool. That's some really dumb shit, in my opinion. You know? Because it's like, really? It's one of those things where it was just like the bad netcode, and it's across all of the games, by the way. Borderlands 1 suffers from this, Borderlands 2 suffers from this, even Borderlands 3. And I'll be blunt, that's unacceptable. In this day and age, in the internet age, that's unacceptable. Acceptable on any level. It's really damn dumb, right? Similar to what I complained about in Fire Emblem Warriors 1, for example, where lack of online co-op is kind of a not a good thing. Traversal is also slow and boring, which just aggravates the shit out of me. And then there's, of course, True Vault Hunter and Ultimate Vault Hunter, which are just lazy difficulties. Make the enemies ridiculously powerful. While your power level stays relatively the same. That's, it's not great. So, I hated the timed quests. Yeah. Also, Dragon Keep is Tiny Tina's Asylum on Dragon Keep is the best DLC. Both from a story and a gameplay perspective, don't at me. Because all of the issues I had with the terrain, not in Dragon Keep. The clipping, not in Dragon Keep. The boring side quests, there are actually some decent side quests in Dragon Keep. And even some of the boss design is better in Dragon Keep. The bosses are fine in most of the rest of the game, but some of them are just too much health and take too little damage, and it's just like, ugh, you know? Now let's talk about each of the classes individually. Now, in the first game, you of course had your you had each of the characters. You had Commando, Roland. You had the Siren, Lilith. You had Brick, which I guess was Berserker, and you had the Hunter, Mordecai. I believe Mordecai was send Bloodwing out for his action skill. Brick was a door opening. An interruption. I'll be back. Sorry about that. Where was I? Ah, yes. Yes. So in BL1, as I mentioned, Roland, I don't remember what his action skill was. Mordecai was Bloodwing. Lilith was, of course, Phase Walk. And, uh, shit, I don't remember the other one. Sound like Brick. There it is. Just look at your notes. That's Blue Wolf. And Brick, of course, was just, let's go, right? Because he was the Berserker. What I love about this, about BL2, is I actually think the characters are actually even better this time around. Brick was kind of interesting to do. Mordecai was all right. Roland was basic AF, admittedly, and of course Lilith was Lilith. And I like that her phase walk actually comes into play in the main campaign of Borderlands 2. But we'll get into that in the story section because we're still gameplay here. I love each of the different things. Uh, you have Axton, which is of course your turret. You have Zero, who's of course, you know, the assassin, the sword stuff. You have Salvador, who's of course the Gunzerker. His action skill is literally just dual wielding and mowing down foes, which is really fun. And the siren in this game is Maya, so the consistent class is of course the siren. Maya of course has phase lock, so what she does, as I turn my monitor back off, is she will phase lock. So what she does is she traps an enemy in a sphere of energy, and then she can just shoot the crap out of them. And there's some really fun abilities attached to that. Then you've got the two DLC classes. This is Gage the Necromancer and Krieg the Psycho. First time we've ever been able to play as the Psycho. Psycho. Krieg is kind of a worse Brick, in my opinion. His action skill is berserking, and God, playing as him is just. If you know what you're doing, he's fine. I mean, if you don't, he sucks. On the stream, I played as the Necromancer, but my go-to class is the Siren. You know, and despite the sounds of it being kind of crap in Borderlands 3, we're going to see just how bad as I play as the Siren in Borderlands 3. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about the classes. My personal favorites are the Siren and the Necromancer. And that's about it. Was there anything else? Nope, I think that's it. So let's move on to the main campaign. Sorry about that. Ugh, God. Sorry about that. Anyways, where was I? Right. Uh, I like how each of the Borderlands 1 Vault Hunters are characterized. Brick is simple and stupid, which is very fitting. Mordecai is very much, get done with this shit kind of mentality. Roland is, of course, where's the soldier? Love the how Roland's introduced, by the way. Hey, he's captured. A robot busts into his cell to try and kill him. He wrestles with it and wins. Very nice touch. And Lilith, I love how just adorably dorky she is. It's like it, she's got this thing where she's like constantly flirting with Roland, and to be blunt, neither of them know what the hell they're doing with that. It's like, what? You know, the rest of Sanctuary's inhabitants are fine for the most part. Or, Marcus is fine, Zed's fine, Earl's basically literally just a shop. I mean, so are Zed and Marcus, but Tannis is Tannis, and it's quirky archaeologist. You know how it is. I don't like Scooter, and I don't like Ellie. Simple as that. There is one character I like, though, even in the main campaign, and that's of course Tiny Tina. The way she's introduced is blowing up a bandit. It's kind of funny. And then there's her tea party, where she gets revenge on the bandit who turned her into an orphan. Let that plot point simmer in the back of your mind for when we start talking about her DLC, by the way. Angel talks to us because, of course, though she's got her own plans that are separate, but from the true villain of Borderlands 2, Claptrap. Okay, no, I'm joking, but yeah, I don't like Claptrap. I know a lot of people like him, and I don't get it. I really don't. If you like Claptrap, feel free to tell me why in the comments. I would love to hear it, honestly. And I'm being serious when I say that. I would love to finally understand why, you know? But then there's Handsome Jack. Honestly, okay. So Handsome Jack was retconned and re-retconned and re-retconned and like 3 times across Borderlands pre-sequel and 3. Okay, I'm not going to get into that here since I can rant about it, about the specific retcons when we get to Borderlands 3 and or the pre-sequel if I ever bother. But I like how he's characterized in this game specifically. Let's ignore any of the future stuff, right? Namely the pre-sequel and the and 3, and just focus on him in this game. He's got that nice mix of unhinged, but also he drinks his own Kool-Aid all over the place. He is constantly spouting off about how he's the good guy, he's the hero, and it's just, and meanwhile he's also willing to torture and murder people. Yeah, last I checked, good guys don't torture people, you know? You know, it's one of the reasons I gave Three Houses so much shit for that. So he's got all these plans. He gets to it. Finally gets to attack Sanctuary, and then Lilith causes Sanctuary to fly, which is actually a cool scene. What do you possibly have? A siren. And Roland's just like, a siren. And the siren, Lilith, chimes in, sup. Did I mention this has good voice acting? Despite it being, the the Funimation cast, basically. So Jack does some evil things. Poor Bloodwing. That's all I want to say on that. Ugh. Then Angel is like, come to my chamber, in my AI core chamber, and keep Lilith out of it. Because I read the script and I know what's going to happen. So then, so then we go and we deal with that. And then Roland is killed in a shock death. I've talked about the different kinds of deaths in fiction before, but Roland's death is actually a good one. This is how you do a shock death right. You make it impactful, and you make it so that it's not just a death for the sake of being a death. Sure, Roland had no reason to suspect Jack. Sure, Roland had his back turned, but he had no reason to suspect Jack was there. And I know it took a lot of people by surprise. It's actually one of the reasons why a lot of people tend to despise the pre-sequel and the retcons from the pre-sequel and the and 3. Because it tries to retcon him to being more sympathetic, because apparently we can't have our villains just be fucking villains. But I digress. So then we go through it. Honestly, I honestly love the scene. It's what happens if you let Lilith kill Jack, because honestly, I couldn't deprive Lilith of that moment, And no, not just because she's voiced by Colleen Clickenbeard. Sorry, dribble. And no, not just because she's voiced by Colleen Clickenbeard, okay? Anyways, the warrior is an interesting concept because it says to me that the idea that there are monsters in every one of the vaults, would have been nice if there was something more to it in that sense. It's back in Borderlands 1, but let's not get into that. And then we find out that there are vaults all across space, opening up the possibility for sequels. Let's hope Borderlands 3 hasn't fully killed that. Not helped by Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. And it's also kind of having that as a thing. Yeah. The less I say about that one, the better. So. Oh, I just realized I didn't give a spoiler warning, did I? Shit. Well, fuck. Anyway. But either way. I don't have a lot to say about a lot of the DLCs. I liked in Captain Scarlet's Pirate Booty. I liked Scarlet, and despite how much of a perv he was, I liked Herbert. Although I will say his fate was so satisfying. I freaking hate Hammerlock's Big Game Hunt. The gameplay is irritating, and the story is such a nothing burger that it just drives me up a wall. Mr. Torg's Campaign of Carnage was such wasted potential. Piston was such a throwaway villain that it was just like, what? I kind of wanted more out of it. I also don't have much at all to say about Fight for Sanctuary. Hector's a terrible villain. I didn't like the the zombie plot line. It bored me to tears, and Vaughn is an irritating character because we just need more comic relief characters, right? Give me some characters to fucking root for. Series franchise, come on. So yeah, I've got like nothing to say about Fight for Sanctuary. All right, because we don't dive into Lilith's character. We just do some pseudo prep for Borderlands 3. And even that's kind of eyebrow raising, if I'm honest. You noticed I skipped over one, though, right? Let's talk about Assault on Dragon Keep. So Tiny Tina pulls out D&D. I know it's called Bunkers and Badasses, but it's D&D. We all know it. And all throughout the game, Tina's kind of saying, "Oh, where's Roland?" This takes place after Borderlands 2's main campaign, by the way. And the Vault Hunters are like, he's not coming. You know that, Tina. And they're all getting more and more agitated until the battle with the handsome sorcerer. And this is where I have to put my foot down and be like, you Vault Hunters are fucking idiots. Because there are hints that she's just coping. Now, it sounds like it's just, that she's in denial and whatnot. Except there's just one itty bitty little problem with basically getting mad at Tina for her denial. She's 13. And that's why I get so agitated. The fact that she knows at all is astonishing, because finally they're starting to they're basically counting her like, you cannot deny what Jack did to Roland, and Tina has to finally break down and just say, I know what happened to Roland, damn it. But let me pretend for just one goddamn night, let me pretend like he's still around. Let me at least, for one night, pretend Jack didn't do that. God, can you blame her? This D&D session is, and making Roland a character in the game, literally was her way of coping. Because of course she misses Roland. Roland was, well, I don't know what Roland would be to Tina, but I imagine something like, I don't know, a father. Considering she's an orphan. Remember that thing I told you to keep in the back of your mind? Of course she knows. But this is how she's coping with it. She's not denying it. She's just trying not to think about it. Then Claptrap says something stupid and ruins it because as Claptrap has to be a fucking asshole. That moment is powerful. And it's the moment I think of when I think of Borderlands 2. Yeah. Borderlands 2, ladies and gentlemen. That's about what I expected. 34 minutes. Wow. Minus whatever I have to cut out, but you get my point. Regardless, I hope you all have enjoyed. And I will see you all next time. And, well, from your perspective, I'll see you next time for the Castlevanias. From my perspective, well, I've got some other shit to do. Blue Wolf House, the Lore Walker signing out. Have a good one.